Marko is the president of the congregation, is about to exercise his constitutional responsibility and actually call us to order. Again, we want to remind folks that we are online now, so people can see the backs of your heads. So maybe we could say hi to everybody at home. Welcome for coming. All right, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Just give us a minute. There we go. All right. Call to order the annual congregational meeting on elections. My name is Marko Jokinen. I'm the president of the church council and also the chair of the adult learning committee. Good morning, everyone. All right, today's agenda, we'll have the call to order I just did and the review of and approval of the minutes from last June that we did in the church sanctuary. And then we'll have Pastor David talk the ministry of our saviors. And then we'll have the report of the nominating committee of all the elected, proposed elected official leaders that we're having and have the elections. Treasurer report, and then Pastor David will end with our Savior's Project, and then we'll adjourn this meeting, but we'll continue on with our worship as well. So yep. So these are I'll quickly go through the minutes from last year. So the meeting was held in the sanctuary on Zoom. The welcome and call to order was at 10:19 a.m. by President Susie Oversee. Review the meeting minutes from the June 6, 2021 congregational meeting. Minutes are approved. Pastor Parks. Review the highlights from the previous year, music programs, weddings, kids' Bibles, Lent during COVID. Thanks to Sherry Fletcher for serving as a volunteer committee. Welcome to Laura Allen, a new volunteer coordinator. Meals for those in need, quilts to talk about adult learning. Then we had a presentation of the nominating committee and elections. The 2022 nominating committee's report and election results were as follows. We'll just go through these real quickly through the screen. As I said, as Pastor David said before, this is going to be recorded. You'll be able to see this on our church YouTube channel later today. And then President Susie presented resolutions from the Adult Learning Committee, resolution to support Truth and Healing Commission on the Indian Boarding Schools Policy, United States Act, shown below. The second resolution in support of the Duwamish tribes fight for federal recognition status. A motion was put forth to pass the resolutions to the ELCA Northwest Synod Council for consideration. The motion passes. Kyle Turner, the Treasurer Krista McClellan's presented first quarter financial review as well. Kyle thanks Krista for many hours of work as our Savior's Lutheran Church Treasurer. I'll give thanks unto the Lord by Dane Uland and Pastor Deb Squires, and the closing prayer by Pastor Deb Squires. The meeting was adjourned at 11:08 a.m. And thanks to Allison Hariska, which was our secretary last year at this time. So is there any questions, concerns with the meeting minutes from last year? If no, all in favor say aye. Any nays? The motion or the draft minutes are approved as follows. Thank you. So ministry report, Pastor David.
You want me up there, Captain?
Yes, sir.
Oh, how about you? If you guys advance the slides, I'll get
you just fast.
I don't like that much power. Thank you, Marko. I want to just kind of a status check. Are those tablets, are they making their way around? Hold it up if you've got it. They're made it to the back. Okay, good. Those become matters of record for the congregation, and the secretary needs to record those. My boss is the bishop of the synod, and every year, local congregations are required to provide a statistical report. We've got to kind of come clean. We've got to demonstrate to them that we're actually doing the work of the church. So 65, that represents the number of worship services. Now, it's also true that 58 of those were online services. And in this new world, that has also become important to the way that the larger church thinks about the worship life of local congregations. 14, you know what the 14 is? 14 is the number of new households that joined since the last June meeting of the congregations. They joined by baptism. They joined by affirmation of baptism. They joined by letter of transfer. There was one household decided they wanted to be associate member, so they kept their connection with their old congregation. I don't blame them. Then that means they can't get elected. So maybe that was the plan all along. 4. We said goodbye to 4 of our siblings in Christ. 4 left the congregation's roster by death. 3 couples promised their lives to each other. It was kind of fun. That's just one of the funnest parts of my gig, is standing there as people promise their lives. 13. You know what that is? Baptisms. It's been quite a time, and you've heard some of the little voices through our gatherings these Sunday mornings, and it's terrific. Now, the truth is, none of this is keeping score. It's not as if this is some kind of a brag for us or a contest, but it is a matter of kind of clear-eyed watching about what happens among us and what matters to the larger church. Family and friends gathering. Some of you know that we're now several years into this experiment, which is a partnership between the synod and the preschool and us, right? So family and friends gathering has turned out to be this huge and wonderful new facet of ministry in the area. And because they are separately incorporated, they have half of Pastor Squire's time. She's not only our associate pastor, she's also a mission pastor for Family and Friends Gathering. And they've had all manner of activities over these last few years. And in fact, we're getting ready to celebrate a 5-year anniversary, a great big birthday coming in up in September. And I would tell you this, that I think it's, you know, one of the most exciting new initiatives this congregation has been about in a long time. All right. It's important for us to say thanks. There are several who have served in elected office in the life of the congregation. People that I think, you know, we owe them something. If nothing else, our gratitude and our acclaim, our thanksgiving. And the first of those is Sheila. Is Sheila in the house? She's been chasing some grandkids, but she watches very carefully your money. So when you give a gift, she's got eyeballs on you. So I don't know, you've done that for 25 years now? How long have you been doing that? We don't know. So thank you, Sheila, for that good work. Another, of course, is Gunnar. Gunnar Almgren has had more than one duty in the life of the country. He's most recently retiring from the council, but he's been on the personnel committee. And he's helping to serve and lead the diversity and inclusion committee, one of the great brains in our congregation's life. Allison, yay, Allison. She has been a star and a champion, not only a president of the congregation, but helped out on the personnel committee. If you think we did good to hire Ashley Engler in preschool, if you think we did good to hire Kendall to be children, youth, and family, Allison, she championed those causes and was just a rock star. Is Jeff in the house? Jeff, this guy is something. He's not only a capable manager, administrator, and brilliant constitutional. You rewrote the whole Constitution, I think. But what? He's a man of heart. his grace, his sort of manner and way and love has just been a great gift to the congregation. All right, Ron David set a record. Ron has been on the council longer than anybody else in living memory. Yay, Ron! You know, when you think about it, the Constitution says that you can do no more than 2 consecutive full terms. Well, what happened was he got elected to finish a term, and so it was somebody else's, so it wasn't a full term. So then he got reelected to do another full term, and then COVID hit, so we extended all the terms by another year. Then he got reelected again for another 3-year term. So I think he's been on the council for 15 years. That's not actually possible, but he did it. And I think to all of them, should we tell them how much we love them, how thankful we are?
All right, thanks, Pastor David. Next, we'll have the report of the nominating committee. Jill Anderson. No, right here. Or is that Mike?
Red, yeah, red. Okay.
You want to control the slides, or I'm going to do? All right.
I'm not a tech person. Okay. I'm Jill Anderson.
Yep.
Should be good to go.
Yep.
Okay. This year, our nominating committee consisted of the following members: Garth Almgren, Arlene Anderson, John Mickelson, Susie Oversby, Ned Gebert, and myself. Together with Pastor David and Pastor Deb, we met this spring in thoughtful prayer to discern and contemplate and bring forward names of members that we felt had the heart and the skill and the energy for leadership on our various committees. So today I'm presenting those nominated members. Okay, for Congregational Council, newly elected member Karen Zielinski. For terms ending in 2026, Christina Richmond, Matt Walker, Carly McGinn, Keith Larson, and Alex Yonke. Treasurer Andrea Kowaleski. For council term ending in 2024, Karen Zielinski. Council term ending in 2026, Christina Richmond. For term ending in 2026, Matt Walker. Term ending in 2026, Carly McGinn. And term ending in 2026, Keith Larson. And term ending in 26, Alex Yonke. Financial Secretary, Karma Clark. For nominating committee, Jeff Hansen and Lisa Egbet. Newly elected preschool committee for terms ending in 2025, Christy Smith and Kathy Brodnack. For preschool committee ending in 2026, Key Burnett and Olivia Miller. For memorials and special gifts, term ending in 2026, Linda Bossert and Gordon Hillstead. Endowment committee ending in 2027, Ray Stephenson. For Columbarium committee, terms ending in 2026, Tara Stormo and Suzanne Bay. For children, youth, and family, term ending in 2026, Neva Richmond and Gretchen Arhus. Our partnering ministry reps, Bethany of the Northwest, Patty Hunt, Josephine Caring Community, Dennis Tout, and our Scout Pack 15, Kendall Bodner.
All right, so that's our people that have been nominated for all these leadership positions, and greatly appreciate that. So one thing, and just to note, is there any nominations on the floor for additional people or somebody else that wants to be involved in some of these leadership positions? The only caveat to that is all these folks on that you just saw on your screen is that they've been had discussion with and talked to. So It'd be difficult to add somebody else on the floor, but we're not going to stop that. But so we'll go ahead with the vote. If there's no one else that want to be added to the election, all in favor say aye. Any nays? All right, so all the elected people have been voted on from the congregation, and we thank you. Next is the treasurer's report. Kyle Turner.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Are you driving?
Yeah, I'll drive.
Okay. So this is the treasurer's report, and all right. I guess the most important thing here is to thank our outgoing treasurer, Kristen McClymans, for all her work, not only as our treasurer, but also in helping get our new treasurer trained and the transition made. So Andrea was very appreciative of Krista's help. And thanks to the committee. This slide is inverted. Andrea and Chris and Sheila are the people on the committee that do the heavy lifting day to day. Ned and I are there to help and support, but those other names should be at the top of the list. Also, we have our counters, Karma, Jim and Marianne, Jim, Jan, and Donna. So finances overall are in good shape. This is our balance at Mountain Pacific Bank currently. And this is our endowment. It's a little bit, it's down obviously, if you look over on the far right-hand side. However, I think the underlying principal balance is somewhere just under $1 million. So we're still well in the black here. This slide will give you the fund balances. The top one there may have been better expressed in red ink because that's actually a negative number. We're planning to fill that with reserves, but the capital building account is in the red right now because of the large expenditure for the Blue House renovation. And this is just an indication that the fund balances do not include family friends or making waves, as those are funded outside the operating fund. This is a rundown of our overall situation, I guess you'd say. Operating income total is $698,000. Most of that, the vast majority of that is tithes and offerings, which on the next slide, we're in pretty good shape. I'd say we're right on track. And this is a slide of budgeted versus expenses. Again, the big item here is tithes and offerings, and I think we're doing okay there. This is a slide for the mortgages, the overall balance, and as you can see, the interest rate and the monthly payment. We're on track for making these payments. Okay, so that concludes the finance report. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. I have the brains of the operation here. So, anyone? Okay.
Thank you, Kyle. All right, so next on our agenda, Pastor David, you want to talk about outside our saviors?
I had a chance to tell you a little bit about the meetings that this task force has been having. You know, there was a forum a few weeks ago, And people started to talk about their experience of outside at this place. And it's almost a little bit deceiving because right now it's beautiful. Why, the trees are leafed out, flowers are blooming, and there are people pushing lawnmowers around. And it's really quite lovely out there. What you can't see are the bad places, and we have them. There are places in nooks and crannies that get used not for holy purpose, but for things that we don't intend, things that we need law enforcement's help with sometimes. We don't have lights where we need them. We don't have cameras where we need them. We don't have handicap parking in places where it's easy to get from a car to the ramp to get inside. Some of the play spaces that we have for the youngest ones, it's Sliver City because, you know, it's wearing out. And some of those timbers now, after years of being painted and repainted and sanded and painted again, it's time. And so this group is keeping careful track of the kinds of things that need our attention. And in all likelihood, it's not going to be inexpensive. You can well imagine that the price of replacing a giant street light style post in the middle of the parking lot with an LED fixture is not just $50. You probably have some idea that the surface of the parking lot, while much of it is in just fine shape, there's a lot of places where it's a little bit like, you know, going rough riding. And so that's likewise not going to be $50 to correct some of those places, to manage and frankly to keep our 127 trees. Oh, well, okay. You know, one of them may have to go, but this plan that they're coming up with will keep them all. And I think that's important to all of us, to have that canopy, that tree cover, that capacity to convert carbon into oxygen. I mean, all those beautiful things that trees do. So I'm just very, very grateful that we have electrical engineers, we have construction engineers, we have project planners and environmentalists and people working at the PUD. This is a very cool team working on this. And if you've had anything to do with that, do you want to just raise your hand? I mean, look around the room, the people. Carly's being modest, but she's done. And then Michael is here too. And there's a bunch more. And another Michael, for all those folks, I hope you're grateful, as am I, for their good stewardship of our campus, of everything that happens outdoors.
All right. Thank you, Pastor David. All right, so that adjourns the meeting. Bring the gavel down, and we'll continue with the church service. Thank you.